Ding ding. Ding ding. Ding. In the early 2000s, we had a bunch of Thomas VHS tapes and wooden railway toys, and some of the latter I still have today. However, I wasn't too into the series, as I was mainly a Nick Jr. kid. However, in 2007, I went to Day Out with Thomas in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, and that really got me into the franchise. I started collecting more wooden railway and Tomy/Trackmaster merchandise, and began collecting DVDs. I even went to Day Out with Thomas again that same year, now in California, with the dummy model instead of the actual locomotive. I eventually found out that there was a Thomas ride at something called Six Flags Discovery Kingdom up in San Francisco. I was really interested in it, and in 2008, we just happened to be on a trip to San Fran, and we actually ended up going to Discovery Kingdom. I did research and saw all the neat coasters they had, but only got on Roadrunner Express and Cobra, as they were the smallest ones. There was also a Six Flags closer to Los Angeles called Magic Mountain, but I wasn't interested because they didn't have Thomastown. But sometime later on the internet, I found amazing news. The Six Flags park closer to me was getting a Thomastown? I couldn't wait for it to open. I also found out about some X2 ride, but the marketing scared me. Around May or so, Thomastown, and X2 for that matter, opened up, and I saw videos of the area in operation, which are not going to show because they're from that one theme park channel. You know the one. Sometime at a beach party, we won two 2008 adult tickets to Magic Mountain, so we had to go by the end of the year. So we finally went in late December. So late that Christmas had already happened.
I received Ashen Canyon for Christmas, so of course I had a great holiday.
The trip to Magic Mountain was one of two events I had been waiting for the entire year, the other being a tour of Warner Brothers Studios.
I later returned in 2015 for an Ellen taping.
And of course I loved it. During the trip we went around the park and rode the Thomas train and the Percy's Railway roller coaster and a few rides in Bugs Bunny World. Because of my interest in the Six Flags Thomastown areas, I began to take interest in Six Flags as a whole, checking out their websites, looking up their coasters, and watching PLVs on YouTube, and also doing the same for other parks I've been to, like Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I also got a book about coasters at a book fair called Thrill Rides, which featured some information about various coasters, including the fact that there was a Paramount's Kings Island, and that the tallest coaster in the world was over 400 feet tall. I was on and off on the amusement industry, but really got into it in 2014. I began watching a channel called Coaster Studios that made PowerPoint-based videos like Top 10s and a few other types of videos.
I was there in Taylor's early days, not in the Coaster Guy 14 days, but early enough to see many of his old videos that have since been removed.
It was also around this time that I began checking Screamscape frequently so that I could see the latest updates in the amusement industry.
I should end this story here, otherwise we'll be here all day, so let's go in-depth on the Thomastown areas of the Six Flags parks in California.
The Discovery Kingdom Thomastown opened in 2007, the same year that the park changed its name from Marine World. The area included a Birdie the Bus ride possibly made by Zamperla, a Harold the Helicopter Dumbo-type ride, and the main attraction, a train ride featuring Thomas the Tank Engine. The Thomas train was manufactured by Malibu Emlyn and had false blue wheels that, unlike Kennywood, actually moved. The train style first appeared at Drasilla's Park in the UK before appearing at Six Flags the same year, and later appeared at the UK's Drayton Manor, the only one that still has a Thomas theme to this day. The scenery was amazing, Discovery Kingdom. The fact that you were next to a lake is what made the ride a beautiful experience. It almost made you feel like you were actually on the island of Sodor. It was also neat that there was a railroad crossing as you went around the park's shark exhibit. The area also had a small splash pad, but I don't know if it was there or not when I was there. My memory is faint. Let's move down south to Six Flags Magic Mountain's Thomastown, opened in 2008, the same year that X was converted into X2, and more importantly, was a big year for the Thomas franchise. The Great Discovery was released, and shortly thereafter came Season 12, the first season to use CGI. In sadder news, original director David Mitton and former US narrator George Carlin had passed away that year also. Back to Magic Mountain, the Thomastown area wasn't as detailed as the Discovery Kingdom area, as there were less rides. The Thomas Train ride was less scenic, but did give good views of Goliath and did have a point where the track crosses over. As for the rest of the attractions, they did have a splash pad featuring Cranky, which wasn't operational because I was there in December, and the Percy's Railway roller coaster.
Already talked about this extensively in my top 10 video, so I'll be as brief as I can be.
It formerly operated at Beverly Park before moving to Magic Mountain for its opening in 1971, getting a Looney Tunes theme in 1985, and going into storage in 1998 when a new kiddie coaster was set to open, then reopened in 2001 so that they could have as many coasters as Cedar Point. For Thomastown, the front card changed to Percy.
It's a good thing I rode as a kid. I'm too tall for it now.
That's pretty much it for the Thomastown areas, but wait, there's more. They had exclusive merchandise! I don't know how much exclusive merchandise they had, but I did get this Thomas Wooden Railway set from Discovery Kingdom. It includes Thomas, a cargo car, and a Six Flags cargo box. Pretty neat stuff. The Thomastowns appeared in other parks as well. Six Flags New England's was pretty similar to Discovery Kingdom area. Six Flags Over Georgia had dry play areas including Birdie and Harold, and Six Flags America's area was the biggest of them all, featuring many rides in the Thomas train that circled the entire area. But unfortunately, that one only lasted a single year because it opened in 2010 and things were changing. Around this time, Six Flags went bankrupt and the recession didn't help. As they exited their bankruptcy, new things happened. A new CEO, Jim Reed Anderson, a new advertising campaign, and what's important for this video, the termination of recent licensed properties. In addition to Thomas, there was Evel Knievel, Tony Hawk, Terminator Salvation, and the Wiggles. With the loss of this came rebranding, similar to the former Paramount Parks when Cedar Fair took over. All Thomastowns became the generic Whistle Stop Park, except for Discovery Kingdom, which went for Seaside Junction.
Nowadays, the areas that still stand there today are prime real estate for something new. The one at Six Flags Over Georgia paved over theirs in 2016 for a DC Super Friends area, and maybe Magic Mountain could do the same, maybe even add a new coaster. It can't overtake Energylandia for more kiddie coasters, but they can at least get ahead of Energylandia for coasters in general. That's all I have for now. My next video was going to be on the rest of the parks I've been to, but I'll have to wait on that one because the next video will be a video on Dollywood. I haven't been there yet, but we will be going. Goodbye.